in terms of the benefits of the vegan diet, keeping all the way real with you, Sam, I think the main way people on the internet misrepresent the vegan diet is that if you're talking about the peaks and valleys in life, talking about life as, sometimes you're happy and doing well, sometimes you're doing miserably. Most people try to promote veganism in terms of the peak experience, in terms of how great it is when you're at the top of that peak something, you know what I mean? And the times when I really value the benefits of the vegan diet, it's the exact opposite. It's when you're at rock bottom, when you're at your worst. But I think several times, babe, even while we've been together, so I'm just talking to my girlfriend off camera as babe. I'm not addressing my YouTube audience as babe. But I mean, I've been really sick several times since we've been together. And where I'm sick, and because I'm sick, I'm not sleeping properly, I'm not exercising properly, I'm not eating properly. And then, I drag myself out of bed and have a shower and look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually still in good shape. The times when I've really valued the vegan diet is when I'm in a terrible situation, sometimes psychologically also, going through a really, really tough patch in your life. And you realize, I'm aware, because I remember what it was like to be a meat eater, I'm aware how much worse off I'd be if I were on a standard American diet, if I were eating meat and cheese and that kind of thing. Going to sleep hungry, waking up hungry, feeling cold. You did all that stuff while having a full-time job, right? Or while being yeah. And finding a diet and workout routine that fits into your daily life. Yeah. But look, and just bringing it back to being at the subway station and not buying that donut. Ethically, ecologically, and politically, I totally feel motivated enough to never eat another donut. You know what I mean? That kind of spontaneous way. Yeah. Because of veganism, what veganism is, what it means to me. But, I mean, you have to decide, are you motivated enough to do that in order to lose weight? Probably not. That's probably why you're over 300 pounds now, right? So if you don't have the motivation to do the right thing in order to be slim, healthy, and attractive to the opposite sex, he doesn't. We've established that with TkyoSam. That's a known fact. Maybe he can try being motivated by some of these other factors, even if it's just as a thought experiment. Maybe you can just try living. Try living as if ethics matters. Try living as if ecology matters. Try living as if these things matter, even if you don't feel it matters. And maybe just as a thought experiment, that's going to motivate you to get some of the weight loss results that you can't get by thinking about being slim, being healthy, being more attracted to the opposite sex.
À-bas-le-ciel.
So it entered my mind to make a video, a pragmatic down-to-earth video, talking about diet and weight loss after watching some footage from TkyoSam. So TkyoSam is a guy who's well over 300 pounds and trying to lose weight, and he's not vegan. And one of the things that's interesting to me, reflecting on this, I realized that almost nothing I have to say in this video is pro-vegan or positive linked to veganism in any way. Last night when I was chatting about this with my girlfriend is here but just off camera, most of what I had to say was really just anti-vegan, in the sense that, I've lost patience with the dishonesty of a lot of the respectable vegan doctors that are out there. For example, and especially a guy like John McDougall. I feel like about 20% of what McDougall says is bullshit in the parlance of our times, and it really discredits the other 80%. Of course, 80% of what he has to say is true and important and worthwhile. But the problem is not just that the minority of things that are not credible discredit the remainder. It's also that a lot of what he says really is misleading and harmful to certain types of people who don't know to take it with a grain of salt. So, there are vegans who tell you, in all due seriousness, that they really sincerely that you can never get fat from eating carbohydrates, that you can eat an unlimited quantity of bagels and never gain weight. And this is just not true. It's even more common to see on YouTube now vegans who claim you can eat unlimited quantities of fruit and never gain weight. Fruit, so simple sugars, not even complex carbohydrates. And a large part of the background of this are respectable vegan doctors who, basically make an argument from volume. They talk about just the amount of area in your stomach, in your digestive tract, and that eating low-density foods with low caloric density, is therefore more filling. So that a food like lettuce is much more filling than a food like beef, And they'll employ some really dishonest tactics to press this home. I mean, it's especially amusing to me that there's this hardcore of respectable vegan doctors who are completely against eating processed food and completely against eating any food with oils in it. And they argue passionately that fats are not satiating, that people don't feel full from eating fat. So I was saying to my girlfriend spontaneously the other day, we don't eat a lot of donuts, but in China they have a traditional kind of Chinese donut. So it's different from a Western donut, but fundamentally it's like a piece of bread that's been fried in oil. So it is fundamentally the same thing as a donut, but it's a Chinese tradition of that. And I said to Melissa, if this were true, then eating this donut would be just as filling to you as eating a slice of bread the same size. That you would subjectively feel just as full, and you don't. Of course, having fat in your diet is satiating. Having fat and protein in your diet is satiating. When people eat, most meat products, most of the popular meat products, the reason why they feel satisfied and they feel full is that meat contains a ton of protein, it contains a ton of fat, it normally contains a ton of salt, and it's also not easy to digest. So your sense of being full is indeed partly your body struggling with how difficult some of those calorie-dense foods are to digest. And psychologically, we grow up, in a sense, even dependent on that. That's what we get used to if we grow up eating meat. The impact of eating, steak or hamburgers and, accompanied by things like French fries also, again, cooked in oil, that's what you come to rely on to feel full. And then if you switch to a vegan diet, or if you even if it's not vegan, you switch to what I've seen TkyoSam trying to do. TkyoSam, he made one video where what he was doing on camera, he was doing everything right. I mean, so he had given up doing soda pop and was instead having ice water with lemon and cucumber, slicing up cucumber, putting in ice water. And he switched from solid food to eating a huge salad. He had a huge bowl of salad, so trying to fill up on greens. Well, psychologically, the exact opposite of the kind of default vegan advice is true for most people. Most people find steak really filling. They find cheesecake really filling. And this is one reason why psychologically a lot of people feel, high-fat, low-carb diets work. Not that it works scientifically, but just psychologically, they feel very full when they eat those meals. And then they can achieve a low-calorie diet. They can achieve a calorie deficit by eating very dense food. Dense and difficult to digest food. It's also food that's incredibly unhealthy. But we're not even talking about health yet. And most people, if you sit and eat a huge salad, 1 hour later, you feel hungry again. So we've had that experience. We've been eating a lot of salad since we came to Thailand on this trip. Back in China, just a few weeks ago, we basically never ate salad. We ate a lot of greens, but cooked greens. We ate a lot of broccoli, a lot of bok choy, a lot of steamed and boiled green vegetables in China. But we were not eating raw vegetables. So here we kind of been binging on salad. But wow, just, by the time we walk home from the restaurant, we can be hungry again after eating a huge quantity of salad. So this is a fundamentally insincere thing. And I'm not just talking about informal vegan YouTubers or fitness gurus or people selling ebooks who have no qualifications. The most respected vegan doctors really try to drive home this argument that, one, what matters is having low caloric density foods. So lettuce would be the ultimate example of this. And then, two, the other crux of this is claiming protein doesn't matter. What the hell is up with that? I think they only do that because of their opposition to processed foods. Because if you're vegan and you want to get protein, then you're looking at stuff like veggie burgers and hummus and processed bean stuff. These people, some of them are even against drinking stuff like soy milk, because soy milk is a processed product. They want you to eat whole. So eat whole grains and whole foods, only whole vegetables. It's ridiculous. So there's this kind of hostility to the protein argument, which is, again, totally insincere. Telling you, it's no problem to get plenty of protein on a vegan diet. Yeah, right. Come on. Let's keep it all the way real here. And then, of course, the huge hostility to anything containing fat, except avocados, right? They're soft on avocados, nuts, and seeds. If you're trying to lose weight, you should never eat avocados, nuts, and seeds. That's terrible advice. like encouraging you to eat avocados, nuts, and seeds, but then anything that has oil, anything that's processed. And a lot of the processed foods as a vegan is how you're going to get a more of a dense, high protein meal out of a vegan diet. Something that works with the reality of having a 9-to-5 job, something that probably works with the reality of getting exercise, if you can and when you can. So a lot of the advice that's out there, I find, is really bad advice. Now, one of TkyoSam's videos on this also, he had advice from Canada Jinsan, who is a very skinny, small young woman. I don't know how tall she is, but she looks very, very small by all dimensions. And I remember it just struck me how her advice for him losing weight seemed to me really inapplicable for a very big dude. So I think he's about 5'10", and now I think he's like well over 300 pounds, 320 or 350 pounds or something. And it's interesting too, because a lot of the things he says, I think he kind of already knows what he needs to do. He just isn't doing it. He talked a lot about walking as exercise. If you're a big, heavy dude, walking, especially carrying weight when you're walking, like carry a backpack full of books, walking up and down stairs, then you're getting a ton of exercise. With every step, you're moving like 300 pounds, right? Now, the other side of that, though, is this is the tragedy of severe obesity or being extremely overweight. I also heard him in a different video that was very, very honest. Shout out to him for being so honest. I heard him admitting that now when he goes to the subway station, when he goes to the train station, like he plans his route to basically be like as few footsteps as possible. He has to plan how he moves through the train station or subway station, where he stands and waits, where how to get a seat. In Japan, the transport is infamous for being very crowded, not being able to get a seat. So he's, really, planning every footstep. So that's the problem. The heavier you are, the more effective just walking can be and can energize everything else going on in your workout and weight loss routine. But then also the heavier you are, the harder it is to walk, and the more you're actually even risking, injury to your knee and ankle and that kind of thing. And he reported that also. He did a video mentioning he went dancing, and he somehow badly injured his knee. I don't know the details. That's rough. So the other thing he was doing right, in the same video where he was eating salad, he already had a weight bench in the background. He already knows how to do, bench press and other standard exercises. But then the other thing that's funny, the riddle to that story, is that he's got tattoos. So he's repeatedly tried to join gyms in Japan, but then as soon as he joins a gym, they'll kick him out for having tattoos. So the struggle is real. My heart, really goes out to him. That's a really, really tough fix to be in terms of weight loss and exercise. And obviously, apart from YouTube, the guy does have a straight job. He does, he does teach, and teaching keeps you on your feet. He teaches mostly children, not adults. So he'll be running around after kids, standing up in class and teaching and what have you. Maybe that's also why he has to count his footsteps as carefully as he does. So, in terms of the benefits of the vegan diet, keeping all the way real with you, Sam, I think the main way people on the internet misrepresent the vegan diet is that if you're talking about the peaks and valleys in life, you're talking about life as, sometimes you're happy and doing well, sometimes you're doing miserably. Most people try to promote veganism in terms of the peak experience, in terms of how great it is when you're at the top of that peak something, you know what I mean? And the times when I really value the benefits of the vegan diet, it's the exact opposite. It's when you're at rock bottom, when you're at your worst. I just came through a bunch of illnesses, including shingles. I had my first shingles outbreak. Like 90% of humanity gets shingles, by the way, sooner or later in life. I had a series of serious illnesses, but I think several times, babe, even while we've been together. So I'm just talking to my girlfriend off camera as babe. I'm not addressing my YouTube audience as babe. But I've been really sick several times since we've been together. And where I'm sick, and because I'm sick, I'm not sleeping properly, I'm not exercising properly, I'm not eating properly. And then, I drag myself out of bed and have a shower and look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually still in good shape. And I'm really surprised. Like, that's really not what I'm expecting to see, because I feel like garbage. That's really, for me, my experience, the times when I've really valued the vegan diet is when I'm in a terrible situation, sometimes psychologically also, going through a really, really tough patch in your life. And you realize, like, I'm aware, because I remember what it was like to be a meat eater, I'm aware how much worse off I'd be if I were on a standard American diet, if I were eating meat and cheese and that kind of thing. So, babe, veganism as such, do you actually feel that it makes the calorie counting any better? Like in terms of, the core element of weight loss here, we all know, yes, exercise helps, but it's creating a calorie deficit.
No, I don't think it makes it easier.
Okay. Yeah, well, I see.
No, I really don't.
Yeah, right.
But I only
I agree.
After being vegan.
Right.
Just keeping track of everything, because, if you're keeping track of every little, the thing the vegan diet relies on having a lot of vegetables and having a lot of different fruits. You have to enter all of that.
Yep.
Counting your calories.
Yep.
Yeah, and you don't feel as full as you do.
Yep. I mean, I'm honest with you. I have an earlier video called "Feeling Like Crap on a Vegan Diet."
Yeah.
I think feeling like garbage on a vegan diet, but for real, being on a vegan diet and being in a calorie deficit, which is what I was in Kunming. When I was in Kunming, China, I went down from like 220 pounds to 190 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget, but I went from over 200 pounds to under 200 pounds. And, I forget, but I lost 10 or 15 kilograms. And I was gaining muscle mass at the same time. So I was going to the gym like 3 times a day. Sometimes 2 times a day, but 2 and 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I was hungry all the time. I felt cold all the time. Like I was pretty miserable. And like that's not surprising being on a calorie deficit on a vegan diet. I was desperate for any kind of food source I could get. And I was eating broccoli. You've seen video of what I was eating.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to claim that's easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I was eating at a calorie deficit, I was eating extremely healthy meals.
Yeah.
But I often, as you say, I often went to bed feeling
Yep, you went to bed hungry and you wake up hungry.
Woke up feeling hungry.
Right.
And yeah, it's cold in Michigan.
Yep, that's right. In Kunming, it's cold. There's no heating. That's the difference. There's no central heating. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. That's the most obvious thing when you think about it, is that nobody talks about the reality of what it's like being on a calorie deficit, kind of period.
Yeah, it sucks.
And then why would that be any easier on a vegan diet, or let alone on a low-fat vegan diet? My vegan diet is low-fat all the time, and when I gain weight, I'm gaining weight off of carbs, and vegetables, and you see what I eat. I'm not gaining weight on chocolate bars when I gain weight, not at all. I do gain weight. Soy milk is probably the single greatest source of fat in my diet.
Yeah.
And if I want to lose weight now, I can pretty much just eliminate soy milk. But you've seen that too. When I eliminate soy milk from my diet to lose weight, then I'm really hungry, and I'm looking for whatever I can possibly get, because as a vegan, there were just so goddamn few options around for what you can eat, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the struggle is real, but, I mean, in terms of the illusion sold by veganism, for me, part of it is just this illusion that you're going to feel fabulous when you're at the peak. I mean, in life, you feel fabulous for different reasons. You feel fabulous because you have a great sex life. You feel fabulous because you have a great girlfriend or boyfriend. You feel fabulous because, something positive happens. There are reasons to feel fabulous. But I think veganism has nothing to do with that, and it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't raise the peak experience. But when you're down in the troughs or valleys, when you're struggling in a really difficult situation, when you're bouncing back from an injury or illness or what have you, that's when I really noticed the advantages of the vegan diet.
Yeah.
And something Mod Vegan talked about, it's definitely true with veganism. So I was just complaining about being hungry and having no options. But I guess it's also true in terms of your diet. You don't have a lot of temptation once you commit to veganism, right? Like once you're vegan, you don't have the option of eating donuts at the subway entrance. You know what I mean? Like at the subway station or the train station. TkyoSam mentioned going to Cinnabon. You'll never eat Cinnabon again, right? So it does force you a bit more disciplined and planned. I mean, you can still eat stuff like potato chips, but you'll probably buy those potato chips in advance and carry them with you. So, if it's kind of one discipline versus another, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so look, I've always said, like, my reasons for being vegan is ethical, ecological, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, making positive political difference in the world in the ways that I can, and accepting the ways that I can't. I've got a million rants about this. But no, I mean, diet and weight loss are really not reasons to become vegan. And on the cover of every single American magazine, on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine, Swimsuit magazine, these all Men's Health magazine, they all feature images of beautiful people in outwardly great health, wearing bikinis or muscly men in shorts and whatever. And none of these people are vegan, or 1 in 100 of them is vegan. It's very obvious that it's possible to achieve those aesthetics. Now, the flip side of that is, when you look at the statistics for human health, heart attacks, cancer, health of your circulatory system. There's this statistic Dr. Greger likes to use that vegans who get no exercise at all, vegans with a desk job, have the same level of health in terms of their heart and circulation as marathon runners who eat meat. So the advantages we have in those, but that's all invisible. You're not going to see that at the beach. You're not going to see that at the runway. Nobody walks up to you and says, wow, your arteries are really unclogged. Wow, your cholesterol-free diet is really, it really looks great. You don't see that. And, believe me, I find cholesterol terrifying, in terms of the effects on the brain, even more than the effects on the heart and the veins and what have you throughout your body. Cholesterol is a terrifying thing to have in your diet, and nobody should eat any of it. And guess what? The only way to have a cholesterol-free diet is to be vegan. So yeah, for some people that that might be a compelling reason to be vegan or at least plant-based. But the flip side of that is exactly what we're talking about, the psychology of satiation. The psychology of feeling full while you're on a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. And the ways that work include smoking cigarettes, which is terrible for you. People find nicotine makes them feel satiated. Drinking caffeine, which is terrible for you. People drink caffeine and they feel less appetite. Or some people just chew gum, where they chew chewing gum that has nicotine. There's weight loss gum and this kind of stuff. But yeah.
No, the truth of being on a calorie deficit is feeling like you are not sated.
Right. Yeah.
It's just how it is.
Right. With those exceptions, the truth of being on a calorie deficit, going to sleep hungry, waking up hungry, feeling cold. You did all that stuff while having a full-time job, right? Or while being yeah. And finding a diet and workout routine that fits into your daily life. Yeah. But look, and just bringing it back to being at the subway station and not buying that donut. Ethically, ecologically, and politically, I totally feel motivated enough to never eat another donut. You know what I mean? That kind of spontaneous way. Yeah. Because of veganism, what veganism is, what it means to me. But, you have to decide, are you motivated enough to do that in order to lose weight? Probably not. That's probably why you're over 300 pounds now, right? So, if you don't have the motivation to do the right thing in order to be slim, healthy, and attractive to the opposite sex, he doesn't. We've established that with TkyoSam. That's a known fact. Maybe he can try being motivated by some of these other factors, even if it's just as a thought experiment. Maybe you can just try living. Try living as if ethics matters. Try living as if ecology matters. Try living as if these things matter, even if you don't feel it matters. And maybe just as a thought experiment, that's going to motivate you to get some of the weight loss results that you can't get by thinking about being slim, being healthy, being more attracted to the opposite sex. All right.
À-bas-le-ciel.